Welcome into Recruit Reaction. We are live after Texas loses to Florida. Quite the upset. Texas came in to the season ranked number 1, but now they have 2 losses. The Gators have 2 wins. We're going to talk all about that one. I got Steve Wiltfong backstage. The great Steve Wiltfong is currently talking to recruits in Gainesville, talking to recruits in Ann Arbor. FSU Miami are about to kick. We're going to preview that one, but we got a lot to talk about. What were you guys watching today, huh? How about that UCLA game, huh? UCLA takes down Penn State 42-37. A shocker. Nico goes for 5 touchdowns. They're chanting "Fire Franklin" after the game. And the game wasn't even played at Penn State. It was in California, but enough Penn State fans traveled that you could hear "Fire Franklin" after that one. So we are going to discuss it all. We got Ohio State, Minnesota about to kick off. We'll go over the top recruits that are attending that one. Like I said, FSU and Miami are about to kick as well. We're going to preview. FSU has a bunch of flip targets on campus for that one. But first, we got to talk about the Florida Gators. Let's bring in Steve Wiltfong. I'm excited. Gators take down number 9 Texas 21-29. Gators have the number 9 ranked class in America when it comes to recruiting, and we're going to get there. Last year at this time, Steve, we were talking about 5-star wide receiver Dallas Wilson, who went 6 for 6 catches, 111 yards, 2 TDs in his debut. We haven't seen him yet this season, but boy, did he break out behind DJ Lagway's 2 TD performance. Jaden Ball carries it 27 times for 107 yards and a touchdown. Arch Manning struggled again, 16 of 29, 2 TDs, 2 INTs. Steve, what is the instant reaction to this one out of Gainesville?
So we're talking the Florida Gators today. Nobody was more excited about this win today over Texas outside of people that already work or play in the facility than commits and top targets that are just incredibly happy for Billy Napier and this coaching staff. No staff does a better job of building authentic relationships with top targets. And I think you can see how it even resonates within this own football program, how they never quit, how they never stop playing hard, how they try and go out and do the right things, the way they carry themselves after wins, the way they carry themselves after losses. It's a direct reflection of Billy Napier and that coaching staff and how much they love him. And the recruits flocked to Gainesville today to support Billy Napier and this coaching staff. They were ecstatic to see the Gators get a win. CJ Hester said, "I'm just going to keep on supporting them," says that we are going to keep fighting and pushing through no matter what. He was at Missouri last week. He is sticking with Florida if nothing changes. How about 4-star running back Carson Baker showing up at Florida instead of Florida State? They were expecting him in Tallahassee. Our Florida insider Corey Bender reporting that Carson Baker was in Gainesville. UNLV defensive line commit Isaiah Broughton has really seen his stock rise this year in SEC country. Florida, one of the programs that he is high on. He said Florida just needed a wake-up call, and they proved him right. This was one of the best defensive games he's ever been to. Said it was electric, that Florida moved up his board, definitely in his top 5 now. Number 1 quarterback in the country, Elijah Haven, and his family in the 2027 class, already trending towards Florida on the Rivals prediction machine. His family didn't know what to expect this weekend, his dad told me, but Gainesville was rocking. So the fans, not the fans on the message board that are still clamoring for some change, but the fans inside the stadium, they wanted to see Florida get this done. They created a heck of an atmosphere. The Haven family felt that. He talked about the resiliency, the way the players are connected, the way the coaches are still connecting with the players, talked about how hard they're playing, talked about how they're able to reach the players during times of adversity. And for them to respond the way they did speaks volumes for Coach Napier and his staff. The Haven camp will certainly continue to keep a keen eye on the Gators moving forward. They obviously have done a great job making them feel like a priority. He wants to go to a school that feels at home. He doesn't have a better connection with anybody than Florida. Reaction's going to continue to come in from the swamp, but recruits wanted this win today, and they got it.
Yeah. Those obituaries that some of those fans were writing, you're going to have to ball those up. Maybe second time in 2 years that Billy has bucked the guillotine there in Gainesville. I know a lot of people had written them off after that Florida loss, but they go into the bye. It seems like they get some things worked out on offense, namely with DJ Lagway. He looked like that former 5-star that we saw so much as Gatorade Player of the Year. Dallas Wilson. I mean, Steve, let's talk. There's a lot of Gator fans that maybe don't follow recruiting, and they don't know how we got here with Dallas Wilson. This was one of the craziest recruitments of the 2026 cycle.
Dallas Wilson, 6 catches, 111 yards, 2 touchdowns, an absolute difference maker. This is why you went out and got this recruitment done, so you could go out and pair him with DJ Lagway and win games like this. And it wasn't easy. Dallas Wilson loved Oregon. He committed to the Ducks very early. And throughout his process, people speculated that he would flip, and he was supposed to take these visits. And these visits, he kept never showing up. And then even on his official visit to Florida, you may want to correct me if I'm wrong, because it all starts to run together. The limo showed up and sat in front of his house for like 3 hours, and he didn't go out there, right?
Yeah, I thought if he flipped it all during his recruitment, it was going to be to Miami. He made a couple late visits there. It just seemed like maybe Miami had a little bit more momentum with him, but yeah. Like if you look at the totality of his recruitment and just his distance from, he goes to Tampa Tech, or he went to Tampa Tech, which is 2 hours outside of Gainesville, and
he signed with Oregon. Josh.
He signed with Oregon.
Oregon.
Didn't he make it out to Eugene?
Now, Dan Lanning and company cut. It wasn't like Jared Keese, Sagapolatelli, Cal's quarterback that had to go into the portal. Oregon cut him loose. I mean, it was hard for him to go across the country, but he wanted to be a Duck. But now he's a Florida Gator, and he's putting on for the state. And this was a huge win for Florida today, a balanced effort across the board. But they got a lot of playmakers. Look at that young talent: Dallas Wilson, Vernell Brown III, Jaden Ball.
Ball, give him the ball.
This is a football team that has the talent. They just need to play at this level. And the defense shine. How about Billy Napier saying early in the week that DJ Lagway had a look in his eye? And I just love the way DJ Lagway carries himself. Win or lose, he is a great role model. Goes out there and takes the heat if it's deserved. But I can't wait to tune into his press conference later today. 21-28, 298, 2 touchdowns. And you go on social media and everyone wants to tell you how bad Texas is. Can someone have a good win at some point? You go on to social media, everybody says that's not a good win. No one ever has a good win. If Minnesota beats Ohio State tonight, someone will say it wasn't a good win for the Gophers. This was a great win for Florida. A top 10 team came into their house, and they beat them, and the game was never in doubt. They beat them worse than Ohio. They beat them worse than Ohio State did. And they made some big plays down the stretch. So many guys stepped up, and it'll be interesting to see where this takes the Florida Gators moving forward, because they are 2-3 right now, and they have the talent to win every game on their schedule, right? Absolutely. It's just playing consistent football. They got to go to Texas A&M next, and the football scheduling gods are with the Aggies right now, because every home game is a night game for Texas A&M. Florida's going to have to go play that one at night, but then they get Mississippi State. That should be a win. Anything happens, and the Mississippi State's 4-1. They're playing Texas A&M tonight, so maybe not so fast. We'll see. Anything can happen in Florida, Georgia, in the cocktail party, at Kentucky, Ole Miss. These are games that you can see them being in all of a sudden after beating Texas today. And so, but these recruits are excited, and I was excited to talk to them. And anyone that's ever corresponded or talked with Coach Napier and this staff loves him as a person, and they're happy for him today. And the media cannot fire Coach Napier today. There's still some message board posters that want some change. We'll see how the rest of the season goes. But Napier has the support of his players. He has the support of his recruits. It's easy to see why the administration supported him last year, just the way everybody feels about him. And we talked about it on the Wilfong Whip Around on Thursday, Josh. He always has a big win in Gainesville at some point during each and every season. And obviously today, knocking off number 9 Texas, it was never in doubt. And we'll see how these guys continue to play and respond with another big one on the road at Texas A&M next weekend.
Yeah. All right. So kind of to reset in recruiting before the weekend, the theme was Florida is getting a lot of commits on campus for a big game. And, we asked, is it worth it? Is the risk worth the reward? The way the Gators were playing, we're saying if they even lost this game, should you bring in all these recruits? And our answer was yes. Just the environment was going to be lively. There's a lot of playmakers on this team. We thought it was going to be an exciting game. We thought that it was worthwhile to bring these guys in. But now it looks a little different after the win. Now a lot of these guys, like a KJ Ford, like a Hezzy Kent, that have been looking around maybe, kicking the tires. Carson Baker made it, like you said at the top. But this was a big win, a statement win for some of these top Gator recruits that were maybe on the fence a little bit.
Well, these guys want to go to Florida and they want to play for this coaching staff. And sometimes you see recruits that are forming backup plans. They're really starting to plan their next move. Right. These Florida guys do not want to plan their next move. They want to go to Florida and play for the staff. And so this win today validates things for them for at least another week till they got to go play another football game. And it's a what have you done for me now lately world. And they have an opportunity to go on the road and get a great win next weekend against Texas A&M. It'd be a great win no matter what happens to Texas A&M tonight, in my opinion. But these recruits, if they are talking to other schools, it's just so they're not left high and dry. It's not because they have one foot out the door already.
Yeah. And obviously one of the big wins already this weekend, not just the win over Texas, but getting Carson Baker in Gainesville rather than Tallahassee, because that looked funny to me, seeing Carson Baker on Florida State's visit list while Florida is playing a major SEC game just 2 hours down the road. But, of course, the Gator coaching staff probably saw that and said, yeah, this ain't right. We need to get Carson Baker in Gainesville for this one. And he had to like what he saw. Gators run wild over Texas. Gator fans.
No doubt in my mind, Caden Hall has FOMO, 4-star safety that wants to stay committed to Florida, but he's in Tallahassee this weekend. He's soaking up Doak Campbell Stadium right now. But
hey, Gators got that's telling. Win. That's telling. I mean, it tells you, hey, Carson Baker's a little bit more solid than Caden Hall is. We'll see what happens after the weekend. We'll see. Gator fans, talk to us. How are you guys feeling? Big win over Texas. There's some winnable games now moving forward. I mean, it wasn't looking this optimistic before this game, but after this game, it looks like there's a couple more wins. You guys tell us now, how have you recalibrated your season prediction for the Florida Gators? Put your win totals in the comment section below. All right, Steve, let's head to Tuscaloosa. Alabama, Vanderbilt. Bama wins. What was the final in this one? 30-14? 30-14. I was watching when it was 23-14. I didn't realize Bama had a late cover. I wasn't watching the final seconds there to see Jam Miller run it in. He had 21 carries, 116 yards. He went crazy. Ty Simpson, 2 touchdowns, 340 yards passing.
Ty Simpson, he stays. He is the starter. He's a captain. Alabama is where he wanted to be during his recruiting process. He stuck out the coaching change, and now he is slicing and dicing and carving up these defenses, showing some resiliency after the week 1 loss to Florida State. He didn't play too bad in that game against Florida State, but Alabama is responding. There was no hangover after beating the Georgia Bulldogs on the road. They come back and beat a Vanderbilt team that beat them last year. That was 5-0. Gets a good methodical win over Clark Lee and company. And Alabama, everything that they sought out to do before the season, play in the SEC title game, go to the college football playoff. It's all still in front of them. They control their own destiny. And this was another big win in front of a bunch of 5-stars, many of them already committed, and top recruits that, look, you want to talk about a head coach. If they're – the way recruits feel about Billy Napier, they feel the same way about Kalen DeBoer. Those are 2 of the best guys in the sport. And when you walk into that Alabama football facility, the camaraderie amongst the staff, from the coaches on the field to the off-field staff, guys like Courtney Morgan, Aaron Hodges and company, This is a program where recruits instantly feel very comfortable. Look at the number one corner in the country there, John Meredith III from the Lone Star State. The Texas A&M Aggies have been setting the pace with Coach Mo Linguist, all his Texas ties. They have the Crimson Tide right there in the thick of it for John Meredith III, getting all those recruits back on campus. It's a number 7 ranked recruiting class in the country. People like Colorado coming after Sedarian Morgan. Those are going to be very tough flips with how at home these guys feel. At Alabama, Nolan Wilson, Miami, they're not going to stop recruiting them. But Alabama was first to recruit him before he had a profile on On3. He had an offer from Alabama, attended a game. And the Crimson Tide are going to be tough to beat for their commits, and they're looking to add a couple pieces to this recruitment or to this recruiting class moving forward.
Yeah, and there you saw Jaira Edwards with Nick Saban. Nick Saban always recruiting 5-stars, even when he's not the head coach at Alabama. He's still at Alabama recruiting some 5-stars. Some big names on the sidelines there. Jaira Edwards, linebacker Xavier Griffin, the 5-star that they flipped from USC. Wide receiver Sedarian Morgan, like you said. He's been out to Colorado a little bit. There he is, Sedarian Morgan right there in the middle. Jordan Edmonds was there. Nolan Wilson, who's been to Miami a couple times. He was in town for this one. Zion Gibson. The list goes on. But there's a couple important targets. Edge Franklin Whitley. But offensive tackle Jared Dowdy, 1 week after being in Athens, watching Alabama beat Georgia, he's in Tuscaloosa. And Jared Dowdy is undoubtedly one of the highest or most coveted uncommitted, because he decommitted from Georgia State like 6 weeks ago. But now Jared Dowdy, Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia, Florida State, you name it, they're involved. Jared Dowdy in Tuscaloosa this weekend. What do you make of it?
Well, they're one of the programs that's prominent in this recruitment. Obviously, Georgia is one that you didn't ignore right away when they offered him when he was still committed to Georgia State. Auburn is another program where he feels a connection with their coaching staff. But Alabama's just flat out getting it done on the field right now in front of Jared Dowdy. 2 big wins. Yeah. Two of the best resume wins in college football right now for Alabama. He was a witness for both Coach Kapolovic, his track record, Coach Kalen DeBoer, again, how comfortable he feels around the program. Alabama's one that appears to be one to watch in this recruitment for Jared Dowdy.
Yeah. All right, let's see who else was in town. 2027 quarterback Trent Seaborn. He's from the state of Alabama, but I've already penciled him into Miami's class. But is Alabama a threat here?
Well, South Carolina would say not so fast. Oregon is another that he is high on. But I'm told that if Alabama is really on the gas for Trent Seaborn, that's the place he's always seen himself. Local kid, in-state kid, Nick Sheridan, Coach Grubb, Coach DeBoer, what they've done historically at the position, just what it means to go to Alabama, the tradition and all of that. Alabama is a program I could definitely see Trent Seaborn at when it's all said and done. We'll see what they do with 2027 quarterback recruiting.
My question is, because 2027 quarterbacks are falling off the board fast, 5 out of the top 10 already committed. And Trent Seaborn has a great relationship with that Miami staff, but it just doesn't seem to me like Alabama's on the gas for him. But I guess we'll hear more coming out of this visit.
Yeah, I think that they're monitoring junior film, but they like Trent Seaborn. They've offered him. Alabama's flipped a quarterback in each of the last 2 cycles, so I don't think they care if Trent Seaborn committed to Miami or South Carolina or whoever else they're going to go after. They've proven that they can go flip a front line, top of the line guys, Keelan Russell, Jet Tamala. So if they got to flip someone in 2027, I don't think they mind getting the spatula out. Elijah Haven is someone that's going to visit later this season that they've been one of the favorites. And I know they're out there watching junior film, and it'll be interesting to see what they do with Andre Adams, a Rivals 300 quarterback from Tennessee that visited this weekend that's having a phenomenal junior season. Charles Power, Cody Belair, and the guys on the scouting team, whenever we're talking about it from a ranking standpoint, they absolutely love him. They got me turned on to him. I love him now too. It's it's hard not to love him when you turn on the film and see the way that Andre Adams is playing. Our wives, Josh, could turn this on and see great film. So I'm sure Nick Sheridan, Ryan Grubb and company have been impressed. The question is, where does he fall on their board? How does he stack up with others? but he was a talented arm that was on campus today.
Yeah. All right. Now, there's also some really talented 2027 prospects on campus, like number 1 corner John Meredith, Caden Moss, LaMarcus Jones, number 10 rated linebacker Noah Glover. Any other standout names to you? And have you heard back any intel coming out of this one, Steve?
Well, obviously, they landed a commitment from Nash Johnson, a corner from McEachern, Georgia, 6'1", 175 pounds. He popped for the Crimson Tide before the game. Talked with Noah Glover. He's had a fantastic visit. Receiver Jahide Brown out of Louisville says the Crimson Tide are his leader right now. So there's another weekend that certainly resonated with commits and top targets. And Alabama goes on the road to Mizzou next week, which Mizzou is in the top 20. They're undefeated, but it's also a weird kind of trap game because in 2 weeks, we got the third Saturday in October, Alabama and Tennessee in Tuscaloosa. So this is kind of a hellacious stretch of football for the Crimson Tide. Yeah. They go to Georgia and get it done. They host an undefeated Vandy team and get it done. Now they go play on the road against an undefeated Mizzou team. Then they come back home and take on a Tennessee team that really can't lose again. Their margin for error, Tennessee's margin for error is still a little bigger than some other programs that could finish with 2 losses, but not much bigger. So they'll be hungry to get a win against Alabama. They've beaten Alabama 2 of the last 3 times, but they were at home. They'd love to get one in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, I bet they would. So we'll have to wait and see. That'll be another loaded visit weekend. All right, Alabama, number 7 ranked class in America. Big win over Vanderbilt, 23-14. Ty Simpson, 2 touchdowns. Jam Miller, he goes off. Ryan Williams gets back on track, almost goes for 100 yards, 98 yards and a touchdown. Bama fans, like Steve said, this is the gauntlet. You guys are running it so far, 2-0. Talk to us. How do you guys feel about the rest of the season? Put it in the comment section below. All right, where do we go from here? Let's go to the Michigan-Wisconsin game's over. It was a 24-10 win at home for Michigan. Bryce Underwood sets a new PR for passing, 19-28, 270, and a touchdown. Justice Hayes goes crazy. 117 yards, 2 touchdowns. Donovan McCulley, he seemed like the go-to guy, 6 catches, 112 yards, 2 touchdowns. Steve, big win for Michigan. Big recruits on the sidelines. What are you hearing?
Donovan McCulley, Indianapolis boy.
Hey.
Transfer from the Hoosiers.
Yeah.
Goes out there and gets a big win for Michigan. The Wolverines steady 4-1 right now, bouncing back with 3 straight wins after that tough loss at Oklahoma. We continue to see the growth from Bryce Underwood, and that is certainly catching the eye of commits, top targets, as Michigan is a program that a lot of these recruits view as one that's going to compete for championships again for years to come. They certainly had the recruits on campus to keep it rolling. Many of the top guys, including 5-star running back Savion Hyder back in Ann Arbor this weekend from a class that ranks number 11 nationally. And they're looking to add to it. They had a few flip targets on campus. 4-star linebacker Braylon Hodge, a Rivals 300 recruit from Colorado. He's committed to Michigan State. Talked to him a little bit after the game. He said the Big House was wild. The energy was next level. He said you can really feel the history there, and it's definitely a special place. He's looking forward to getting out tonight with the players on the team, the coaches, and then he'll have some very informative meetings with Michigan tomorrow before heading back home. Yeah. Oregon, Missouri, Texas, some of the other contenders. He's going to be back at Michigan State for the Michigan game, so he'll get a chance to watch Michigan again later. Michigan is certainly a program you got to keep a close eye on moving forward. Same with 4-star corner Jamarian Vincent. He's on an official visit. We broke the news on Friday night. He's a Rivals 300 prospect out of the Lone Star State, committed to Baylor. He, too, will have a bunch of meetings tomorrow with the staff. Michigan just recently offered, so they're all getting to know each other, but the offer and the quick visit shows the keen interest that he has in Michigan. Michigan recently lost Dorian Barney, who decommitted for Ole Miss.
Yeah.
When you talk to people around the Michigan program, they are confident that they're going to flip some DBs to fill that spot. Jamarian Vincent, that visit pops up after that. So I think that's one that they're certainly in the middle of it for. And then Georgia 4-star linebacker commit Nick Abrams was back for an unofficial. He took an official in the summer I think he's still going to be tough to flip from Georgia. He said as much. He'll be back at Georgia for the Ole Miss game, but he had a great visit to Michigan. It was his first game at the Big House. It delivered. He enjoyed getting around the staff, the program, and the school again. Michigan checks a lot of boxes for him. They'll continue to push. We'll see if that resonates as the process continues. But right now, if you're Georgia, he says the Bulldogs still lead there.
All right, let's talk about 2027 recruit Charles Woodson Jr. Yes, he was on campus this weekend. We started talking about him a little bit this week. He's a 2027 recruit, but his recruitment is coming into focus. He's got some big-time offers. Michigan was not the first, but they are solidly in this recruitment. Steve, have you put in a prediction yet for Charles Woodson Jr. to Michigan?
I did. As I wrote the primer for the big recruiting week at Michigan, I predicted Charles Woodson Jr. to the Wolverines. It's hard to imagine him playing anywhere other than Michigan. He loves the coaching staff and the atmosphere. Obviously, it's a program very close to him and his family. And Michigan's a program that just develops players all over the defense, has a pro scheme under Coach Wink. And it was a great visit. He loved it. Talked to him after the game, and he landed, and he was still speaking highly of the visit. He's already back in the Sunshine State, but he just praised the coaches, said they're good people. And when he was talking about his visit, he said the environment was electric. It was homecoming at Michigan. And he just loves how straight up the coaches are. So the way that they're recruiting him really has resonated with him and his family. And this is his journey. It's not his dad's journey, but Michigan is a place that checks a lot of boxes, certainly from player development, the stage that they play on, the support of the fans, and just the love that the Woodson family has from Michigan faithful. I mean, you're talking about a player that's as popular as Tom Brady or anybody else that's worn the wing helmet. He's one of the top 5'10" football players of our lives, Josh. And now they've offered Charles Woodson Jr. He has a chance to continue on that legacy for the Maize and Blue.
All right, Steve, let's talk about elite edge Julian Walker. He was on a visit not to Michigan, but to another school that wasn't South Carolina. Julian Walker actually wasn't in South Carolina this weekend. He was in North Carolina. He went to the UNC game, and during the game, Ethan McDowell of our Michigan site here at On3 made a tweet about the future of the trenches there, and Julian Walker during the UNC game liked his tweet. So what do you think of Walker showing up at UNC for a demolition derby against Clemson?
Well, Julian told me on Thursday he could visit somewhere this weekend, then told me on Friday he was going to North Carolina. He's been having some good dialogue with Bill Belichick and that staff. Certainly Coach Belichick's pedigree and what he's done historically in the profession is attractive to these recruits and their families. He wanted to get out there and check it out himself, spend more time around Coach Belichick. And this program, North Carolina needs a lot of help. He'd certainly be instant impact. We know that North Carolina is very armed in the NIL space, but South Carolina has been considered the biggest challenger. His dad's one of the strength coaches for the Gamecocks. Now, he was originally going to visit Michigan for the Wisconsin game and bring his mom up for the first time. Now his mom has great dialogue with Coach Moore and this coaching staff, but she hasn't been there before. He's going to bring her up for the Ohio State game now, so he's very excited. Said there's no better atmosphere to be in than Michigan versus Ohio State. Michigan knows they're going to have to battle to the end to keep Julian Walker in the fold, but he's still got a lot of love for the Wolverines. South Carolina is going to continue to push, and we'll see if North Carolina can become a real player. But right now, he's committed to Michigan and liked that tweet, and it's up to South Carolina and North Carolina to change that.
All right. Michigan fans, how are you guys feeling
about
a
Michigan prediction today, Josh? I feel like I'm cutting off all your outros. But they had a bunch of 27s there today. Joined DJ Holland in predicting 4-star edge rusher Ricardo Kitchen to Michigan today. Dakota Grant, Anthony Cartwright, they remain prominent in those recruitments. So big day at Michigan, a noon kickoff, but touching the banner, watching the Wolverines run out in front of 100,000 plus really resonated with a lot of guys on campus that could see themselves wearing the winged helmet when their college career comes.
Yeah, and 2027 quarterback commit Peter Bork also on campus. A lot of commits on campus. Like you said, Savion Hyder as well. Markel Dabney, Titan Davis, Travis Johnson showed up, amongst others. Go to the Wolverine. .com on the On3 network for all the details. They did a heck of a job recapping this game. All right, let's head to Ohio State versus Minnesota. This one is kicking off as we speak. So let's highlight some of the big names that are there. Of course, during the week, we're going to follow up on these and get you guys some inside intel. Maybe no visit bigger this weekend, in at least in 2026, than edge Dre Quinn, fresh off that Clemson. Fresh off that Clemson decommitment, he's in Columbus. We know Tennessee's involved. We know your prediction for Texas is hanging out there. What do you make of him showing up in Columbus this weekend?
Well, Ohio State offered him in January. They're trying to add key pieces to a recruiting class that ranks number 9 nationally. Pass rusher is a position of need for Ohio State. And Trey, we have 2 additions to this list we're going to talk about here shortly. I know on Thursday during Wiltfong Whip Around, I said you can never discount Ohio State. I do think they have ground to make up on Texas and Tennessee this weekend, so we'll see what happens. Certainly Ohio State speaks for itself, defending national champs, Larry Johnson, a night game inside the shoe. It's going to be rocking there. They're up 7-3 on Minnesota right now, and they're taking their shot at Dre Quinn.
Yeah, going to be interesting to see what he has to say coming out of this one. He's not the only flip target on campus. Also, running back Amari Latimer, who's committed to Wisconsin, offensive lineman Micah Smith, committed to UCLA, one of those guys that did not back off of his commitment, but he is looking around. Cornerback Kamari Bing, committed to Maryland. He's also on campus. Steve, any chance of flipping one of these 3 this weekend?
They have a shot at all 3. Amari Latimer, running backs coach Carlos Lachlan from Ohio State, was out a couple weeks ago to see him play. They're pushing to flip him now. His brother plays for the Wisconsin Badgers. But I think this thing with Ohio State has major legs. I would not be surprised if he ultimately ended up in the Buckeyes class. Micah Champ-Smith, there were times where Ohio State led for him as well. Now, he committed to UCLA. There was some modern recruiting strategy that was involved in Micah Smith committing to UCLA. He's going to have those opportunities moving forward. You know, Ole Miss, South Carolina, very much in the picture. I don't know how high Ohio State would go in modern, but they love this kid, and he's already been through the process once. He knows that the Buckeyes program is one that has a great culture. He's talked about it in the past. He's talked about how it says developed here on the walls of the Woody, and they're consistently bringing in top guys and developing. He knows it's a place he can flourish. Does he choose Ohio State and bet on himself and maybe give them a defending national champs discount? We'll see, because Ole Miss and South Carolina are certainly going to push hard for him, and they got great products to sell on the field as well. And then obviously UCLA got a big win today against Penn State, so we'll see what happens there as they get a new coach in place. And, I'm sure all the modern recruiting is still in place for Micah Smith, and good for him for not decommitting. When your coach gets fired, you have a hall pass anyway, man. Just hang out, see what happens. There's some kids that decommit, they don't got a good option. Micah Champ-Smith has 3 other great options, but he was still smart and stayed in the fold with UCLA, in my opinion, and waiting to see what happens in Westwood while going out and seeing some schools. And Ohio State's a program that he was always fond of. They were always one of his front runners. Illinois is another program maybe in there. His high school has great relationships with the Illini staff. So they're in there. And then Bing, he said that Ohio State's his number 2 coming into the visit. Now, Maryland's undefeated, man. And they do a great job recruiting the region under Coach Mike Loxley and company. Baltimore St. Francis stand out. So you cannot just say, oh, it's Ohio State versus Maryland. It's an easy flip. The Terps are undefeated. They got a lot of homegrown talent. And Mike Loxley is a legend in the DMV. So it won't be easy for Ohio State, but they've done it before, flipping DMV prospects from Maryland. And they'll push to flip Kamari Bing, who is very excited to watch the defense play and check out a night game in Columbus.
Yeah. A couple big name 2027 targets on campus. Number 4, offensive tackle Quay Ford. And then number 4, tight end in the class, Jack Brown, amongst others. But what do you make of these 2 making it to campus? Ohio State got a shot?
Yeah, some of those recruitments are just getting started. They also offered Rivals 300 offensive lineman Dewey Young today from Kalamazoo Central up in Michigan. So Ohio State, they're a program that sometimes for prospects, they lead the whole way. For others, they can just come from the back, slingshot right into the front with a big visit or a big conversation with Ryan Day and the staff, just with all the opportunity on the field, the infrastructure and opportunities off the field in a city like Columbus. Ohio State is they're humming at a high level right now.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
they'll
All right,
land
Ohio
a lot
State
of these guys.
fans, talk to us about these flip targets on campus. Also, how are you guys feeling about Drake Quinn? Maybe leaning toward Texas, but what do you think coming out of the weekend? Is Ohio State going to be a real player for Quinn? Let us know. Comment section below. All right, let's head to Tallahassee. This game, it's just underway. Florida State got the scoring going with a field goal. Miami answers with 7. So Florida State now has the ball. We're going to be talking about this one all week. Close to 120 prospects expected in Tallahassee for this one. So it is a big game, obviously. And we already got big flip news. Steve, tell the fans about it.
Corbin Fordham, tight end, flipped from Ohio State to Florida State on Friday night. That was very much expected. Predicted Florida State on Monday. The flip completed on Friday. Ohio State was happy to have Corbin Fordham in the class, but Florida State in the modern recruiting efforts up the ante. He's a legacy recruit with the Seminoles. The way Florida State's playing this year, his dad having played for Florida State, it was just too much to pass up on, and now he's committed to the Noles, and he is on campus and part of this recruiting class.
All right, a couple more flip targets on campus. Amari Thomas, running back, committed to South Carolina. UFDB, Caden Hall, Lasiah Jackson. Florida State going all out for this one, Steve. They got a bunch of flip targets on campus.
Yeah, Lasiah Jackson committed to Stanford, obviously keeping Auburn very warm. I think FSU is really excited about the crop of D linemen that are in town this weekend that could be impact players for this program. That starts with Syracuse commit Cameron Wilson from Miami Southridge. They would love to add him. Coach Norvell, Coach Knighton, and Coach Tony White have done a great job recruiting him. He's fired up to be on campus watching this rivalry game. Jamin Pickney out of South Carolina, an edge rusher committed to South Florida. That's someone that Florida State has really grown fond of in this cycle as well. So there's some big-time defensive linemen on campus. Jairus Rogers committed to Syracuse, also visiting this weekend. Florida State's still kind of figuring out their board down the stretch. They'll measure these guys. They'll continue to monitor senior film, but they would love to land Cameron Wilson. Pickney's climbing the board, and defensive line is a point of emphasis for Coach Norvell and his staff.
Yeah, absolutely. Could there be another Ohio State flip this weekend?
So Aaron Thomas, offensive tackle, committed to Ohio State from Arizona. I don't expect him to be in Ohio State's class come December in the early signing period. Will he be in Florida State's class? I think that Florida State and Aaron Thomas are reconnecting. I think they're evaluating his senior film. And when Aaron Thomas committed to Ohio State, it was a modern recruitment where Ohio State beat out Texas A&M and others. I'm not so sure this one would be a modern recruitment the second time around if he picks Florida State. It would be more of I'm a Seminole. I want to go play for this program and prove myself and build myself up under this coaching staff.
All right, we'll see what happens there. Well, FSU Miami underway as we tape this, so we will be talking a lot more recruiting fallout after this game. You guys stay tuned all week to the Inside Scoop, the Wilt Fong Whip Around. Trust me, this is going to be a big one. All right, we got another game that's kicking off right now in College Station. Texas A&M versus Mississippi State, another big SEC night game at home for the Aggies, and they're going to get a bunch of their commits on campus. Running back KJ Edwards, Chance Collins, Jermaine Kinsler, Victor Singleton, Zayden Krempin, and also a lot of 2027 commits. They are really loading this one up, but some big names you see there, Zyron Forstell, Monshun Sales, and some more 2027 targets. Steve, another big visit weekend in College Station.
Yeah, Landon Williams-Callis is the big name, number 2 running back in the country. Number 1 at the position on Texas A&M's board. Could have been at A&M, could have been at Houston this weekend. Chose the Aggies. Texas A&M is certainly a program that's well positioned for him early as they make a run at the number 1 recruiting class in the country. They already have number 3 quarterback Jace Johnson committed. He's back for a second straight weekend helping recruit. Zyron Forstall, Texas A&M, is one of the front runners. LSU and USC certainly started setting the pace early, but A&M has continued to come on strong. Monshon Sales has shown a great deal of intrigue in the Aggies. Anthony Sweeney is the number 4 edge rusher in America that they'll take a swing at. Olu Olabobola, offensive tackle from New Jersey. He came up with Jermaine Kinsler, who's committed to Texas A&M in that camp. So they got some inroads with Olubobola. Jake Hildebrand is an offensive lineman from Arizona that Texas A&M got in early on as one of the favorites. So they'll land their fair share of these guys that are visiting this weekend. They have a top 10 class in 2026, had a top 10 class in 2025. Maybe the number 1 haul in 2027 this weekend could help go a long way towards getting there.
All right. Anybody else on campus? I mean, we got a lot of these commitments. KJ Edwards was kind of looking around. He's he's rock solid now to the Aggies, right?
Locked in. The Texas A&M LSU shot their shot, but Texas A&M has them where they want them.
All right. Last weekend, they were able to land a couple 2027 commitments, or they landed Hakeem Frampton heading into the weekend. Anybody on commit watch this weekend, you think, or what are we looking at for A&M?
I don't have anyone on commit watch right now, but you just never know how a visit's going to go. So we'll see what's happening on Aggie Yell or Rivals come after the game.
All right. Well, Aggie fans, talk to us. What do you feel? How are you feeling about this start 4-0? Looking to get another SEC win against Mississippi State. Then the Florida Gators come to town. I think we can guarantee that'll be another big visit weekend. So, Aggie fans, talk to us in the comment section below. Looking at this A&M schedule, how many more wins are left? I mean, I see a bunch of them. Let me know. Comment section below. All right, Steve. That puts a wrap on week 6. If you guys are still watching, make sure you guys are subscribed. There's more football to go and more recruiting to go. We're going to break it all down this week. We got the inside scoop tomorrow. We got the Wiltfong Whip Round on Monday. So you know there's going to be a double dose of some great recruiting info. Just another fun weekend of college football, Steve. I'm sad we're through week 6.
Season's halfway over.
I can't believe UCLA beat Penn State.
Look, students were chanting "Fire James Franklin" last week in Happy Valley. They took over the Rose Bowl this weekend to say the same thing. Not students, grown-ups, actually.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Nico, though, 5 touchdowns. Is it time to reevaluate the Nico Joey Aguilar trade? I mean, people were crowning Joey Aguilar. UCLA just got a top 10 win. Tennessee doesn't have any top 10 wins this season. And
no one ever said Nico was bad. But Tennessee has been seamless. There was some growing pains at UCLA. We'll see if they can get some momentum.
All right, guys, we will talk to you tomorrow. We'll talk to you all week on this channel. Make sure you guys are subscribed. Thanks for hanging out for another recruit reaction of an exciting week 6.